Good evening, everypony, and welcome to Commentary's Magic Stream on today's Sunday, July 21st, 2019. I am, as always, Grandpaws.
Big Cheese is somewhere in Europe, but I'm Aracat.
I'm Ivory Starlight.
And with us today we've got...
Yo, I'm Bugle. I used to be a person.
I think you're Flitter.
Oh, am I? Hi, I'm Flitter.
Yeah.
I'm here to talk about Flitter decks, right?
Right.
Definitely.
With hats.
Glad to have you back, Bugle.
Purple hats. Hi, yes. I am glad to be here.
We've got some fun stuff to talk about today, and we want to give a shout out to some of the patrons who submitted decks for us to review today, and unknowingly kept with the theme of this stream, despite having submitted these decks weeks in advance.
Yes. Just like forethought or something. And we're not doing like any kind of like selection bias here. No. Legitimately predicted the theme in advance. So some people who submitted their decks should probably go buy some lottery tickets, huh? Commentary.
They probably already have.
Gambling.
Not unless it's with C Poppy.
Legally, it's not gambling.
That's right, we don't have loot boxes.
Right. Okay. Alright, so we're good.
Yeah, booster packs are just, oh, I forgot the phrase already.
Surprise
Surprise mechanics is what you're thinking of.
That's it. Thank you.
What,
Which, by the way, has to be the name of that deck.
The surprise mechanics?
Yes.
Which deck?
Poppy.
Deck.
Oh, Poppy, sure, yes.
No,
Oh no, it doesn't have surprise in it.
No, it doesn't.
Nor does it have Silver Spanner.
I guess we're gonna have to go back to the drawing board on that one, huh?
Guess so.
I've just given myself a bad deck idea that I need to do now. Great.
Oh boy. There you go. See, this is what happens. It's okay. It's all in good fun.
Welcome.
I mean, it's just to match the deck name. That's it.
Well, I mean, dumb deck ideas like that have produced some real whoppers, so don't write it off. This one's
Fair enough.
Make a dumb deck.
Anyway, let's get into the first of our patron review decks. For those of you who are unaware, Commentary's Magic does have a Patreon, and one of the rewards for one of the tiers is that you can submit one of your own deck creations to be reviewed live by us on stream. And give you some advice and
smash cut to the Patreon.
Did we actually say what the theme of the day was? I think we just...
No, we didn't.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Should probably say that somewhere in here, huh?
Pony cards.
Yes, pony cards. Also purple. The second best color.
So much purple? What's the best color?
Pink.
Pink.
Debatable.
I say pink.
I like running those two colors together.
I do too.
They are two great tastes that do taste great together.
Yes. As evidenced by some of my decks, I also like playing pink and purple.
Well, the first deck that we have here is from Anemoy.
Yep. Okay, so what we've got here... Oh, Apple Vendor. Hello.
Clearly this is combo.
Concern. This is... There is enough purple in here to count as a purple list. Hush. It's okay.
There are 9 purple cards.
Yeah, there's plenty of purple.
Alright, so a little bit more of a orange-purple list here. Got some yellow going on. Got some colorless going on there, GP.
Yes, there is some colorless. So let's give some context here. Anemoy says that this was designed to be a semi-competitive deck in the Harmony format, and his goal was to limit opposing character abilities. And he was worried that everyone in the tournament he built this for was going to be playing Paradox Pony, but only one person did, and
that's kind of a tough one if you miscall that.
Yeah. And it didn't do exactly how he expected it would. It's not really fully control, it's not really fully aggro either. Maybe that was the problem. And as far as the single copy of Utterly Drained and Iron Will, it's because he only owns one of those. So, this is a good time to talk about playing the metagame.
Oh boy.
run aggro all the time?
Well,
I mean, that's one answer to run playing the meta game, but probably not the answer the GP was looking for.
Right. What we have to look at here is how much are you willing to dedicate within a particular deck to countering one particular style, and what is the guarantee that that style is going to be everywhere? And more importantly, can your deck function if you get matched up against any other archetype?
Well, you're practically guaranteed that aggro is going to show up.
Now, that's true. But let's take a look at this one and see how Anemoy built it in order to deal with Paradox Pony. We've got 3 Limestone Pies, which can shut off Paradox Pony's boosted ability at immediate speed.
Right, and since she only works main phase, that's fine.
Yep. We've got Iron Will, who makes it less likely that the opponent is going to drop friends into that problem, as well as 2 Desert Roads. An Utterly Drained as well for Paradox Pony, just for extra spite. And 2 copies of Bedtime, so that if a friend does get returned to hand, they're gone forever. Not to mention 3 copies of Trixie to also make it less likely that the opponent's going to drop friends into play at each problem. There's a lot of ways that this deck is going to be capable of shutting off abilities.
Also, the 2 Unicorns in the problem deck.
Yes, the 2 Unicorns in the problem deck as well.
It's a rather large number of ways to hose your opponent.
It definitely is. But what we then have to look at is, while those cards may all have great synergies in dealing with Paradox Pony, what are they going to do against another archetype? Well, some of these cards are perfectly fine. Desert Road is, a good card that sees play in a lot of orange mid-range to control decks.
It's a great answer for stuff that likes putting stuff into play.
Mm-hmm.
Like purple-white?
Yep.
Or purple-pink?
Yeah, how about
or
that?
Even like blue-yellow.
Limestone Pie is an efficient friend who's also stubborn and can shut off, problematic abilities, so that can be a nice one.
But
she's not efficient, but she is equivalent.
She's not over-efficient, but she is...
Yeah.
Yes.
She's 1 for 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is worth noting that she, of course, doesn't do anything about Inter's play abilities. She only really works on stuff that's annoying once it's already in play. Day Shift.
Utterly Drained is real good against those pesky vinyl players. Not that I would know anything about those.
No, definitely not.
Cough.
But then we look at some of the other cards that were added in here. The Bedtimes. Well, this deck actually has no ways of returning opposing friends to its owner's hand.
Right, not a single one.
Yeah, on its own.
So against any matchup where the opponent is not going to be returning friends, that is literally a dead card. And what's more than that, it's in 2 colors that this deck is not going to be supporting as its main color. Yellow is fine, but the white, it's there for the 2 Bedtimes and the 1 Changeling Throne.
And that's it.
Now,
additionally, we have to look at Apple Vendor. Sure, there's the Aloes in here and the Flim and Flams that can allow you to flip Apple Vendor relatively early, but then you have to ask, what is Apple Vendor actually providing for you in terms of value?
There's not very many friends here, so you're going to be whiffing a lot if you boost her. Like, maybe you retire that Aloe because she's not helping you terribly much, but then what?
Draw 3 cards. Odds of getting another friend.
And then you end up pitching your stuff you're trying to use to stop your opponent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because there's less than half your deck that is friends. So you'll usually hit something, but you will frequently miss.
Right. And if the goal of your deck in playing Applejack is just to find a main that you can flip relatively early, well, you could drop the Aloes entirely, and probably drop the Flim and Flams as well, and run a main like Luna Dream Guide, which is not only going to flip easier and with fewer deck slot requirements, but is also going to disrupt that same deck you're trying to counter.
Also, rather, yes, it's very spicy on its own.
Or if you are just going for easy to flip, like Grubber is much easier.
Mm-hmm.
But this is also Harmony, so if you can withstand the pink, there is always the promise of Vinyl and just being like, whatever. Probably not a good idea, though.
There's also this synergy going on here between Ember and Rockhoof Shovel, trying to get some power counters on a few friends so that they can't be frightened. But that's going to require 2 cards, and Applejack kind of wants to get rid of its own friends. And if you're looking to just protect your friends from being dismissed or frightened, then it might be better just to run some Appaloosas.
And you are in yellow,
or if
so
you're
there's
going
Brian's.
for or if you're going for that combo, I kind of prefer Mod Not Amused over Ember anyway, because you just need to put the power counters on her and then you're done.
Mm-hmm. So this is just an example of when you build a deck with a single-minded purpose, would this deck cause Paradox Pony some problems? Almost certainly. This would be a frustrating deck to play against if you were running Paradox Pony. But even then, it's not a guaranteed defeat. And you sacrifice a lot in your matchups against other archetypes. So there is a level where you can go too far in terms of playing the meta.
Yeah, and I'm also not quite sure what the Twilight Epiphanies are doing here. Because moving during your main phase is not terribly great unless you have a lot of troublemakers, and this deck has 3.
Mm-hmm. I think it's just trying to run some card advantage without having to dedicate towards, like, scope things out. Not sure.
I suppose.
Shall we take a look at the next patron deck?
Sure.
So I think it's important to say here that this is a very hard deck to do a review of, partially because the purpose is difficult to improve upon. Like, if you want to make a targeted Paradox Pony counter, this is along the right lines. But I think the real takeaway here is metacalls are sometimes very, very difficult.
Yeah, that's true. It's almost never worth going 100% in on countering one particular deck strategy, because there's always going to be that one dark horse that comes out of nowhere, pun totally intended.
That was awful.
She didn't come out of nowhere. She came from the moon.
We'll get to her in a moment.
Yeah. And the
Something
metacall
about
thing.
something about misunderstanding
Oh my!
intentions.
Don't you dare!
She fears you have misunderstood her wishes.
No. All the puppies.
We'll get to that in a moment too. Anyway, moving on.
Okay. What do we have next here?
I believe this is also an Anemoy deck.
Yes,
Correct.
This is Anemoy's second submission.
A lot of troublemakers.
Yep, so this one, completely different. He submitted this to be a competitive deck, and he wanted the gyros for event toolboxing and the Chaos Big Mac in order to put power counters on his main. And he said he felt like it needed more control to stop opponents from farming his stuff, and epics that banish cards hurt the one-ofs in the deck for toolbox capabilities. He stole the idea for Princess for a Night power counters from Eminently Sensible, and he does acknowledge that a defeated Pony of Shadows that finds Gyro would be a bad time. All right, Bree, do you want to take a shot at this one?
Well,
what it really needs is F-stop, but unfortunately we can't has.
I mean, he can always run
regret
F-stop.
I regret nothing.
He just won't be playing the match anymore when he puts into play.
Okay, so bad advice, don't run F-stop.
I mean, that didn't work for Ponka at Everfree.
So he did acknowledge that Pony of Shadows into Gyro would feel really bad. The problem I'm seeing here with running Pony of Shadows at all in this farming deck is
you don't have a lot of lucrative targets here.
Yeah,
there's what is it? We've got 3 each of Big Mac, Gyro, and Factory Jack. I think that's it.
Yep.
That is it. And I don't know, I feel like if you're gonna run Pony of Shadows, like maybe fitting like a rescue party in here just to make it more enticing, or what might be more beneficial is removing the Pony of Shadows entirely in favor of maybe some more control options.
Well, the control option that jumps to my mind immediately in a Harmony purple deck with a lot of troublemakers is Twilight Sparkle Ursa Vanquisher, who would actually be fine hitting off of a Pony of Shadows.
Mm-hmm. There's also the option.
Jack, yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
Navy Tiger points out Catajack sounds great with Pony of Shadows.
Only when you're expecting it.
I mean, this deck has very few friends. I think it's fine.
Yeah, this would be a deck that would do fine with the Catajack. It's also worth considering there is only one Pony of Shadows in the list.
True.
But what's more interesting here is that Anemoy lists this as a kind of toolbox deck with Gyro to find the one-of events, but the one-of events that we see here are a color-fixing event, a resource banishment event, and a school shutdown. And everything else is basically at 3, except for Hyper Beam.
Yeah. I think that's partially because those 3 things are just good control tools, whereas the other things are... Sometimes, if you need these, you need them. The makeover is a little bit of a weird one there.
The school shutdown makes sense, but are you really willing to run 3 slots in a farming deck at 1 flip power in order to find a school shutdown instead of, say...
Just running 2 school shutdowns?
Sure. Or even just replacing the Gyros, since you're clearly wanting to do some chaos stuff with the Big Macs and the Dig Deepers.
With a time loop?
Yeah, throw some time loops in there.
Yeah, then you could put in some Magicites.
Yeah, those would help defend.
There's always going to be the issue that Tempest farming gives you a big advantage early in being able to guarantee a troublemaker, but most farming decks run so many troublemakers that that's not really an issue. So then you have to look at what Tempest provides for you after she's initially flipped. And unfortunately, the answer here is nothing.
Not much.
She gets you access into some purple, but even the 3 scope things out can't even be played unless there's a Factory Jack or a Gyro on the field.
Or a Staff.
Or a Staff, that's true.
Or a Fire, although given the relatively small amount of orange entry in here, I think the Fires would have to go straight to orange.
Mm-hmm.
The Fires also... Well, I guess if you're not trying to play Big Mac, then it turns on everything. That's fine.
Yeah, but this is also in a meta where resource removal is kind of important. This doesn't have a whole lot of resource targets for the opponent to go after other than Stick.
Yes, that's just go away.
Yeah, that's true. He mentioned that he was concerned about his opponents farming his own troublemakers, and it's easy to see why that may be the case here. While he does have a high flip average in this deck, there's really no cards dedicated to protecting his own troublemakers outside of the bailouts.
And the Napcakes.
Sure, Napcakes as well. But Napcakes isn't going to deal with the Daybreaker.
No. Yeah, I would suggest turning the Napcakes into Magicites just straight up. Because Magicite even lets you stop mains, and you can combo your scope things out.
Yeah, so we're looking...
It does cost more, I will admit that.
So we're thinking a little bit more of a chaos control type thing here.
Just a little bit of synergy in there. Also, the Doctor Hooves could give you a nice way around Changeling Mimics if you didn't have epics in hand, but there's a few epics here, so.
Yeah, we would need to do something about the entry situation. I guess it's got trading traditions. I completely didn't spot that, because of course it does. Silly Tempest.
Right.
Yeah, that does help the situation out, but that's still kind of rough if you don't get into your orange.
Ivory, where would you go with this?
I like the idea of going a little more towards the chaos control route. I would definitely drop the gyros in favor of the time loops. And I really want to see Rescue Party in here, but maybe that's just because I see all the epics and I see some tasty farming potential there. And I want to see Rescue Party beat up troublemakers.
Rescue Party is a card that demands answers.
Yes. Would also work well with the Pony of Shadows if we were still doing that.
Mm-hmm.
It also might be worthwhile. I mean, if we're running Tempest, may as well have at least one Grubber in there.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're worried about your opponent hitting your troublemakers, at least get rid of something in their hand that might make that easier for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's possible. All right, let's take a look at our last patron submitted deck before we get into some constructed ones here from Sim's side.
Let's see.
I think you can walk us through this one.
Well, okay, so the problem here is that there's like a massive conflict of interest because the thing that I'm about to present is literally this, except you swap the colors. Wait. Which one is this?
Nope, that's the one that you're presenting.
Oh, how about that? Whoops, I meant this one. I'm smart.
Honk.
Honk.
Not yet. No honks yet.
Soon.
Preemptive honk.
Anyway, so spoilers, the Silverstream list is what I was going to show, but here's a Tempest list that does basically the same thing. And I'd like you to count the number of cards in this deck that have eccentric on them. And this makes me happy, because it's going to make my opponent very, very upset.
I have a question.
Why is Zecora not a unicorn?
No, Pinky's Present doesn't have eccentric on it. Can I still count that?
Yes, it does. You can absolutely count that. Look at Pinky there.
Okay.
Are you trying to tell me Pinkie Pie is an eccentric pony?
No. I'm not trying to tell you, I'm telling you. This is a fact. Sorry. Okay, so that being said, yes, there's your opponent's not going to have a real good time because they're just going to be like, here, all the eccentric. This is also I believe this is actually a Defender's block deck.
Double checking.
Is in fact a Defender's block deck.
Yep.
Okay, so we got some grubbers. We got a bunch of entry. We've got the perennial favorite Selena Blue, Tempest and Grubber. Really, the only thing this is missing is Skystar and some portals. But then again, that's going to be true for my deck as well.
I was going to say, we can't always have nice things.
No, we can't always have nice things. But this does the next best thing with the Luna's Futures. And the Sunset Festivals, I'm really enjoying these, and I'll talk more about those in a minute. You can't have drinks.
Something about taking your opponent's friends and stuff.
Turns out your friends are my friends. That's also good for Pinky's Present, and then belly flopping them once you get any value out of them. The interesting thing here, I think, is the Starlight Glimmers.
Well, take a look at the number of unicorns that are here. There's the 3 Lyras, plus all the Starlights, the Trixies, the Tempest Shadow and Grubbers, the Tempest Shadow main, and we've got 3 copies of Detention here.
A little bit of unicorn trouble going on here.
I could appreciate playing a Detention for 1 AT after a Trixie having entered play, exhausting 2 unicorns, copying Detention, actually gaining AT from having played it, and then playing a Sunset Festival.
That's kind of spicy.
That's the dream right there, isn't it?
No, I think the dream is playing a Tempest and Grubber on something like, I don't know, a Daybreaker that's been annoying you, and then immediately slamming down a Sunset Festival.
Ooh, that is actually fun, yes. I guess you could even detention that, do that with detention as well, which is probably cheaper.
Yes. Very spicy, though.
Good amount of card draw, of course, through Rainbowshine, Selena Blue, Pinky's Present. Resource removal, color entry, looks solid.
Ticking an awful lot of boxes here.
Yep. I like it.
Yeah. The Mysterious Disappearance is a little bit unfortunate with the combined with the resource-based entry, but
You've got Selena Blue. You can top deck set.
Usually make sure that it won't show up. Except for exactly when you need it, which is when it doesn't.
Right, of course.
Yes. Yeah.
And this one was from Sonnet Scroll, right?
Yes, this was one of Sonnet's. And she also asks, why isn't Zecora a unicorn? Sorry, can't help you. She can be an honorary unicorn.
Well, then why isn't Party Mary a unicorn?
Oh.
Or an alicorn?
She is a unicorn.
I don't know, why isn't Pinky a unicorn?
She is a unicorn.
Pinky's a Pegasus and you know it.
The same reason why Twilight's an Earth Pony.
Pinky being a unicorn is strictly against the Geneva Convention.
Or was Pinky a Pegasus?
She was originally a Pegasus.
Surprise was originally Pinky, yes.
Everyone is unicorn. We've had to step down from handing out wings, now we're just handing out horns.
I don't know. All I remember is that Twilight's an Earth Pony.
Yep. And Fluttershy's a unicorn.
Bitter about this.
And Thorax is the main character.
Rainbow is a sea pony.
There you go. All right, so all of these patron decks have had at least one thing in common, outside of the standard, they're all legal decks, and that is that they all included some purple cards.
Purple.
Well, second best color, right behind pink.
I don't know. White's pretty spicy.
Purple is a very powerful color now in terms of both its utility of what it can do with all its different cards, and how much resource generation it has in the form of AT.
I think it has, 2 AT gens now?
Yeah, I think we're actually up to 2 different cards that let you gain AT in purple. Which is just,
In which format?
Hipster.
Hipster?
I plead the 5th.
Hipster.
All right.
So today we're going to take a look at 2 different ways that purple can be played in 2 different formats. And hopefully get you an idea of how strong purple's strengths really are in the current metagame. And before people go off and get the pitchforks and the torches, no, none of these ways involve old money and interdimensional portal.
Because are we in a hipster block here? I think one of them is.
One of them's in hipster block.
Okay. Yeah, only one of them's in hipster block.
So take us through the first one, Nara.
Okay. So, spoilers, hey look, it's that Silverstream deck that I accidentally put up there a little bit earlier.
Hey, I like Silverstream.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I've never seen this deck before in my life.
I think that is a dirty lie, and all of you know it. But we're going to talk about Honk Purple, which is a thing that I've been messing with at my locals, and it's been slowly devolving into a Sequestria-era BRB deck, except it's Defender's Block. Or Hipster Block, as I like to call it. Hipster Block is whatever the latest block is. So...
Premier Block.
No. Okay. The first thing you'll note here is that this is actually fairly ultra-rare light, only the main and 3 copies of Sunset Festival. Yes, that random card that everyone has like 4 copies of and no one likes to play.
Not me.
What? I thought you ended up with like 6 of those somehow.
Nope.
Wow.
I have 1.
Yeah, I think I'm at like maybe 1 or 2.
I maybe have 2.
Oh wow. Okay, I guess that's unfortunate. I ended up with too many of them. Somehow.
So the market on Sunset Festivals is going through the roof. Sell now.
Sell now, yes.
I don't even know where mine are.
Yeah. You'll note that this doesn't have sticks in it, which does seem like a mistake. If you do have sticks, I would suggest removing a Sunset Festival, a Rainbowshine, and a Tempest and Grubber for that. Those do give you a soft control option that is repeatable, but I think they actually help a little bit more just by making the main bigger. But Silverstream, of course, does exhaust to do her thing, so often that's kind of lost on her, perhaps.
It's helpful in that she can confront problems by herself, but then she's not helping towards any face-off. Yeah.
Right. Which is kind of contrary to the deck's goal of being able to honk at your opponent as often as possible. And let's face it, this deck has quite a few things it can do that are at least as annoying with a token. One of the things that I wanted to do when I threw this out there is I've heard a number of people getting kind of curious about how to play control, and maybe they wanted some inspiration. This, I think, is reasonably accessible because it doesn't necessarily rely on all of these cards if you don't have all of the rare ones, or the super rares, or the ultra rares. The Sunset Festivals are gravy, and I'll talk about why those are hilarious in a moment. But this deck is very good at dragging the game into the mud and rolling around. Silverstream pushes you down the stairs or something, I don't know. There, deck name.
Silverstream pushes you down the stairs. I don't think it's going to be the catchiest title of all time.
That makes her flavor text so dark. Are those stairs? Shut up.
Wow.
What? I mean,
it's your fault.
I was gonna say,
that is entirely ours.
You walked into that one.
Yeah, I kind of did. Oh well. That's ancient internet history, if you know the reference there.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so the one caution I will give here is this will just straight up die to the trader if he gets flipped. In that case, the Tempest, Troublemaker, and Fireworks might be really helpful to deal with the tokens and to, make the trader not, be 17 power for, kind of difficult to deal with. The deck does have a lot of annoying tricks. The Sunset Festival is one of the more interesting ones for me because Pony of Shadows has showed up in my meta in a big way. And that means that people are messing with their lists to try to take advantage of that. Well, 2 can play at that game because if you've been optimizing your list to get a good friend off of Pony of Shadows, guess what Sunset Festival does for me?
Gets you a good friend off of Sunset Festival?
Gets you Gyro.
Unfortunately, yes, sometimes it does that.
Not in this archetype, it doesn't.
No.
I mean, this deck is legal in Harmony.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, I was playing a cross-format game earlier and got a Applejack growing up.
Interesting.
Cool.
I was
not thrilled.
Not thrilled. Now, granted, the owner of the card was much less thrilled a few seconds later when it got belly flopped into something, but hey.
What else are you going to do with it?
I don't know. I mean, I think it helped confront, but yeah. As we said earlier, the Sunset Festival is absolutely hilarious following a Tempest and Grubber, or if you were playing Sonnet's List, the Detention. And I think the piloting instructions for this are fairly simple. If you can go faster than your opponent, then do that. If you can't, then build up a ton of power and eccentric at a problem and make your opponent have to deal with that. The party mirrors are great. If you leave them unchecked, they will rapidly make the entire deck take a turn for the stupid because you will end up accidentally causing DFOs every turn. Derpy.
No one wants to answer a party mirror, but sometimes you kind of have to.
You kind of have to, because once they get up above about 4 power, they just kind of accidentally confront problems.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
She's pretty good if you want an aggressive option.
Yeah.
She's just not a now thing. She's a...
Right.
She's really a mid-range thing.
The nice thing is, you'll probably have a spare AT somewhere early, and if you can drop a party mirror, or even a pair of them, and they fish out removal from your opponent, that's generally going to be a win in your book.
Because that means they're not going after your Selena Blues.
Right.
I mean, that's what Rockhoof is for. That's what people use Rockhoof for. So yeah, same principle.
Yeah.
Selena Blues or your Starlights. You know, those cards that you don't want removed. Yes.
Yep.
It's fine. I'll just play a hug and get rid of everything.
Yeah.
No hugs allowed.
No, hugs are allowed.
Hugs are not allowed.
Hugs are currently allowed in this format. And this deck is not running a Desert Road, so it's going to be unhappy when that happens.
Yes, it will.
Very unhappy. I mean, the only downside to that is, the Sunset Festival.
Oh yeah, here, let me just grab that main 6 out of your deck.
And
I mean, sure, I don't get its effect, but whatever, I have a 5-power friend now.
Well, yeah, more importantly, it's not in their deck.
And then they Tempest and Grubber it, and then they beat up their own Pony of Shadows and are still sad.
Yep. Seems good.
Seems good. Okay. Alright, so
that was Honk Purple.
I think you want to talk about something else.
We're going to stick with the avian theme. We're going to talk about Squawk Purple, aka Pirate Booty.
And with apologies to what's the title here?
Luna's Banishment Deep Edition.
With apologies to the team that made Luna's Banishment Deep Edition. So, take it away.
So this is the current version of Pirate Booty. On the complete opposite end of the purple spectrum from what we just saw, we have a deck that is so chock full of AT generation that the only reasonable thing to do, I say reasonable, was splash into a third color to run a pair of Miss Mains as a finisher.
Most reasonable.
Right? Captain Seleno has been known for being able to generate a lot of points with relatively minimal investment because of her synergy with the Tempest Shadow Troublemaker from Sequester and Beyond, flipping her back over to her start side. But there's a lot more going on here than just a traditional Seleno deck. We have 12 cards that gain us AT one way or another, and some really great 2-card synergies between blue and purple, and it's pretty impressive just how fast you can aggro with a color that's more commonly known for controlling the game.
Not only are there 12 cards that generate AT, there are 11 cards that generate points if you count the Tempest Mains. And Seleno herself.
Sure.
That's what the booty is. You get all the resources. AT, points, it's all yours.
If you need cards, you've got the AT to draw them. Probably won't. The game will be over far before that point. So this deck really takes advantage of a couple different things. Probably one of my favorite cards, and I would imagine one of Bugle's favorite cards from Friends Forever, and that is Daring Do.
Daring Do is so good, and she just looks like, you look at her and you go, yeah, she's good. But when you play with her, you realize she is very, very strong.
Yeah, it's kind of impressive just how much AT that card will give you over the course of a game.
Oh, you're talking about like the abilities. I'm like, look at that adorable little scowl on her face.
I mean, it's angry, black and grayscale Rainbow Dash. What's not to love?
Someone just got angry.
Could you imagine Rage Face on Daring Do?
I could easily imagine Rage Face on Daring Do. I don't think it would be a good play, but I think you could do it.
No, I just mean just to pose Rainbow's face in Rage Face.
Fair enough. So can we talk about the dream play? The best feeling play that this deck I think can generate when it's not up against a Tempest list?
It can't drop 3 Night Gliders on turn 3 to cause a single problem face-off, but...
I mean, you're not wrong. It cannot do that because it has no Night Gliders.
Only because it has no Night Gliders.
But it can do the next best thing.
Yeah, turns out that if you're running Captain Solano and your starting problem is Trading Traditions, see, there's this cool little card called Read the Manual.
Good card.
Read the Manual gives you 2 AT. It's just what it does. It costs 3 and it gives you 5, so you gain 2 AT. But it costs 3 to be able to play, which means normally most decks are going to have to bank up for a couple turns. And you need 3 color requirement in 2 different colors. Well, it so happens that Captain Solano can flip on our turn 1 by paying 2 AT in order to gain us 2 points, which means that on our next turn, not only is our main at 3 power and in both colors, but we're gaining 3 AT.
3 AT, that number sounds familiar.
Right?
I'm going to be honest here, this sounds like the startup to a combo deck.
It does.
Well, it's not going to stop, because what you do with that 5 AT is you play a Daring Do and a Starlight Glimmer.
Then you confront your problem. You gain an AT from Daring Do. You exhaust Starlight Glimmer to gain another AT. Now you're at 2 AT banked with 2 friends in play, and your main boosted, and you're at 3 points.
On turn 2.
On turn 2.
On turn 2, yes.
This is dumb.
It's slightly above average.
I'm sorry, Bugle. I'm stealing your catchphrase.
What, this is dumb?
This is dumb.
Maybe. It's pretty good.
Those Read the Manuals will continue to be useful, but that is one of those cards that if it's in your opening hand, it's really difficult to not want to keep that hand.
Yeah. For those who play Yu-Gi-Oh, it is basically Pot of Greed.
I mean, it's true. It basically is.
Where's my Exodia then?
No, well, your Exodia is the misname. If you can assemble those 2, then you win.
No, I want the actual Yu-Gi-Oh Exodia. Just I play Pot of Greed. I play Pot of Greed. You lose.
Fair.
Banish this card from your hand to draw 2 cards.
We don't talk about that card.
I personally prefer when you draw a card, gain an AT.
No.
Yeah. So what does this deck do outside of the opening? Obviously, it's capable of getting these incredibly strong burst turns early on and setting up a board presence. Well, you're in blue, and you have a lot of AT. That means that rather than having to play a lot of the cheaper aggro friends like Loyal Pony, which is a fine card, you get to play more impactful, more expensive friends, like Rainbow Dash and First Mate Mullet Swinging Wonders, or Spitfire Wingleader, or Daybreaker.
God. Is that how hard we've pushed this thing? It's pushed so hard that we're not including Loyal Pony, the basically automatic 3 of?
Yup.
It doesn't need it.
This deck runs literally only one friend that costs 2. Everything else costs 3.
Oh, that's infuriating.
Luna kind of costs 2, I guess.
Yeah. You need 3 to play. She gatekeeps you at 3.
Yes, she has gatekeep you at 3. But like we said, Solano says 2 AT a turn. What is that? I don't understand what you're talking about.
So getting all of that AT generation while we are in the process of aggroing through an aggro deck that is very easy to confront, by the way. Extraordinarily easy to confront. Means that we're not having to spend a lot of AT to do that. We're going to be aggroing. We're going to be starting DFOs. We're probably going to be winning a decent portion of these face-offs. And in the process, we're going to be accumulating this horde of AT. If our opponent happens to be one of those people that really likes playing jerkface, well, that's what 3 nap cakes are there for.
Start a face-off, nap cakes the jerk face.
What you're talking about?
No, definitely not.
But yeah, what you do once you've got all this AT is you start looking at these cards that say, play me and score points. And then you play them without slowing yourself down at all, and you have more points than you would have otherwise.
Sure. The Mistmains, the Tempest Shadows, all of it.
Yeah. Even Buckball.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I mean, in our playtestings, you've triple confronted a few times and just gone, yeah, I just scored 6 points this turn. It's fine.
Yeah, the point burst that is in this deck is rivaled only by the amount of AT generation that it can produce.
Yeah.
And that's the great thing here. We saw early on in the Friends Forever meta several decks that focused around having all of these AT generators and playing kind of a mid-range pseudo-control speed before they could find all their Mistmains and then just use those to win the game. The thing is, that takes time. And it gives your opponent a lot of time to find ways to interact or to disrupt or to just cause you problems and force you to spend your resources elsewhere.
Oh no, Solano ain't got time for that.
No. Pirate's in a hurry. So by gaining all those resources, but still applying pressure aggressively with a lot of these friends and starting face-offs as often as we can and winning a bunch of points, scoring a bunch of points, if we do ultimately need to finish with Mistmain, we can, or we can just keep aggroing.
It's only going to cost you, not even that much AT, because you're probably going to be pretty close as is.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those lovely things, the opponent's I've finally got my wall up, they can't do anything, and they're just
that's cute.
Ball.
Yeah. Let me just play this Mistmain to home and get back this Tempest Shadow, and I'll play this Tempest Shadow. End of turn, I'll retire this Mistmain to home limit. Go.
Yeah, Mistmain is one of those great answers against the control match. Normally, aggro is going to have to dedicate a lot of resources to break through troublemakers because it has no choice, whether that comes in the form of, defeating them in face-offs or just playing dilemmas. And we've got dilemmas, so we can do that. But we also don't have to if it's at the tail end of the game.
You can get Tempest back, you can just Mistmain your way to victory.
Yep.
You have so many fun options.
Many options here indeed. The interdimensional portals are probably one of my favorite card that's not a straight-up AT generator or point generator in here.
Well, of course it is. It's the best purple card in core.
But we have no old monies. This is not interdimensional portal in the way that people normally associate it with.
You don't need old money. You have Plushie Dash.
Yeah, we ain't got time for that.
And Spitfire, correct. Do you like 6 power at immediate speed for 2 AT? I do.
Move. Put a bunch of dudes into play or move things, and it only costs 2?
Or you could even move your portal your Daybreaker to beat up a troublemaker, and your opponent's well, I didn't expect that.
That doesn't seem good. I think we should portal the Plush Dash to move 12 power over and just outright murder the troublemaker.
Well, Oh, that's
sure,
been done.
if you have both.
That's been done several times after all 3 plushie dashes have been played, and it's like, oh, thank goodness, they don't have any more.
Well, it's portal time.
Galaxy-brained anti-farm.
Grandpa's may have played 5 plushie dashes and 2 portals against me in one match because I kept school shutdowning like an idiot.
I might have done this. It might have worked okay.
Where was the septuple confront? That was this, right?
No,
that was something else.
That was different.
Sad.
I would say that this is probably one of my favorite aggro decks that exists in the meta right now. And make no mistake, this is an aggro deck.
Oh, 100%. This is an
But it's got
deck.
portals and nap cakes.
And Mistmane. Mistmane's not an aggro card.
In this deck, she is.
Mistmane is a whatever she needs to be card. She is a utility card.
I will happily play a Mistmane for 3 AT to get back a plushie dash.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she is the closest thing we have in this game to a card that gives you a guaranteed point.
Yeah.
Like, the only way she doesn't is if you have no cards in your discard pile.
Or your opponent has a Desert Road.
Sure, that too.
In which case, feels bad.
In which case, we have Rest in Pieces and Hyper Beam, because we don't play with that.
Maybe you don't play it then? Yeah.
I think there's one card that we've mentioned a few times, but I think does need some attention as probably the card in the list, which is the Luna Wax and Wane.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So Luna Wax and Wane, for those who are unfamiliar, has 2 abilities. The first ability is when she enters play, you gain 1 AT, which is why she basically costs you 2. And the other ability, the more interesting ability, is when an opponent plays a friend. When an opposing friend enters play at her problem, you can banish her, and then she can come back into play later. So you can dodge face-offs, or if you know you're going to lose the face-off, you can just banish her, get an AT, and be set for your next turn. There's a lot of interesting tricks you can do with her. Like, she doesn't get you much AT, but she is an interesting tool, to be sure.
If nothing else, she is effectively a 2-cost, 3-power friend that you can play off of just having a Fire of Friendship.
Yes.
And that's one of the most important things for her.
That is far more important.
So, Grandpas, let me posit a question to you.
Okay.
This is a purple deck that is focused around gaining AT.
Moondancer is not in this deck.
Why isn't there cover to cover?
This is a good question.
This is a core list.
Well, cover to cover is core legal.
Right, that's his point.
Right. Cover to cover is a card that is certainly capable of generating a lot of AT. It's one of the most efficient AT generators that we have in the game. But it does nothing for us aggro-wise.
So I think we've already basically covered this, and I will say this in much fewer words. Seleno ain't got time for that.
It's basically what it comes down to. There is a way that you can build a blue-purple control list with the same idea of AT generation and finishing off with Mistmane, but you're going to have to dedicate a lot more cards to that controlling the board, and it's going to mean that you're going to be more all-in on the Mistmane strategy. We have enough AT generation as it is right now with these cards that the cover-to-cover really doesn't add much. The game is likely going to be much closer to being over by replacing that cover-to-cover with a more aggressive body.
Yeah, we tried cover to cover in this deck, and you played her, and then you immediately DFO'd, and you're like, that was just a bad play.
Yeah.
Because she just got retired to home it and did nothing. She did worse than nothing. She cost you 1 AT.
Right.
And a card.
The best thing cover to cover can do in most decks is to sit behind a troublemaker wall, gain you some AT every turn, disincentivize a face-off from your opponent, and help you get some top deck control with Meticulous. Or deck filtering, I should say, not top deck control.
Right.
And in this deck, cover to cover doesn't do that. You're not going to want to give up a Daring Do for a cover to cover because Daring Do helps you score points in addition to gaining you AT. You're not going to want to give up a Daybreaker or... Yeah, I mean, just every other friend in this list is arguably more beneficial for what we're doing than that. So cover to cover's out. For that same reason, Zakora's out as well. Zakora's a fine card, but not in an aggro strategy.
This is the eccentric Zakora.
Correct.
Or are we talking about the blue-purple Zakora? We're talking about both. You know,
we're talking about both Zakoras. Bugle and I have messed with this deck quite a bit, and I'm sure there are still a few revisions that can be made that come down to personal preference, primarily in the resource removal.
Also, like, I know we both want to find a spot for a third portal.
Yes, we do. Just don't know what you can take for it.
I maybe have a slightly related question, which is, you're not running Crazy Twy.
Correct.
No. Well, I mean, there's only 3 troublemakers.
There are only 3 troublemakers, but each of those troublemakers is 2 points for you.
Right, not when they get uncovered, not when they come into play face up.
So you're playing a little bit of an investment game there.
What, with the Tempest?
Yeah.
Sure, but
so
it's
you can play. Right, you can play a Crazy Twy to help you confront and maybe cause a DFO or whatever. And then while you're at it, you might as well get a Tempest out of it.
But that does nothing for the Tempest.
Play.
Yeah, Tempest goes into play face up.
Okay.
Yeah, I was confused as to what you were asking there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the more control versions can run Crazy Twilight, but they won't find your Tempests because it doesn't do much.
I know how cards work. Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, you know what else you can do with Tempest?
Turn your opponent's Thorax over?
Yes, you can do that.
Or their Fluttershy, or their Scootaloo.
No, yep. I'm less concerned about those.
Say it with me, everyone. Their Apple Bloom.
Yeah.
Why?
Never seen play once.
Except in that one draft that we did that one time.
Quick show of hands here in chat. Anyone who has ever seriously tried to build an Apple Bloom deck and has played that constructed Apple Bloom deck, raise your hand. I mean Apple Bloom the main, not Apple Bloom any of her friends.
I have... Does being handed a deck from Joking Luna that had Apple Bloom as the main count?
No, you have to be the one to build it.
No,
I'm hearing a chorus of nopes.
I'm not even hearing a chorus of nopes. I'm not even hearing the crickets.
Yeah.
I believe the answer to this is Big Mac's second favorite word.
Cursed, you forced yourself into that corner, though. That's not fair.
Oh, we got somebody who did, though.
Oh, Fanman. If you have a list for that, you should submit it to us.
I kind of want to see that. See what it does.
Yeah. Beat a frightening deck with it. Yeah, orange is going to be good at beating frightening. That's sure.
Fair enough.
Anyway, this is probably one of my favorite decks that exists in the core format right now, and is such a refreshing break from the standard Tempest control. You still get to run Portal, so what's not to love?
But we all know that you still love your Tempest control.
I do still love my Tempest control, but let's count the similar cards between them, shall we here? Daybreakers, Starlight Glimmers, Mistmains, Daring Dews, Interdimensional Portals.
Alright, let me go see if I've got that. Is it? No, this isn't right.
It's not actually that similar, it's okay.
Alright, now let's go look at the correct version of Tempest Control. It's missing Sonata Dusk. I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
You're right, I'm not.
Oh, yeah. Here, the pink version. I got you. Here we go.
No, I don't.
Right.
No, I don't want to look at it.
It's too bad.
I will note that but that blue-purple deck would be sad to those Sunset Festivals.
Yeah, it would be.
But I wanted that Daybreaker.
Too bad.
And then the Sunset Festival finds the Wax and Wane.
Whatever.
I mean,
and then
that's
you're
a
like,
1 power or 1 cost 3 power friend. That's fine. Just never banish it.
Yeah, I'm fine with this. It's purple entry too. I'm 100% cool with this.
They can't nat cakes it.
Nope.
You can portal it and.
Do that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Burn a portal on that. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
You
it
could
only
have
costs 1 AT.
If you want it that badly, it's yours.
No. The direct costs of that are 1 AT. The opportunity costs of that are significantly more.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. Anyway,
Yeah.
I think that's been enough discussion on that deck for today.
It is fun.
It is a fun deck. I highly recommend people try it. I also recommend people try the Silverstream Purple deck.
Honk.
Yes, Honk. Honk Purple is pretty great, and the amount of eccentric that you can put in there is 12 confront requirement trading tradition is something that should not exist.
Double-digit confront requirements.
You mean like 10 on blackmail?
No, I'm talking like...
How about 20 on blackmail?
Yeah, like 20 on blackmail. Seems good.
Yeah.
But so you were starting to say, I think the amount of eccentric you can get is crazy.
Yes.
Yes.
Also, in that deck, the bait and switches are also very important because your opponent is going to look at this mess and go like, how about I play a dilemma? And you're like, how about you not? And they're going to do it anyway. But then you have an answer.
Yeah.
It's also good for getting rid of Buckball. Because they don't get the point when you replace it without solving it.
So we encourage players, don't just think that purple is only capable of the same old tricks. There's a lot you can do in a lot of different formats, and AT is one of the most valuable resources this game has to offer. AT and cards. And looks like there's cards that can do both for you.
But it was all about the friendships we made along the way.
Sure. That will about wrap up our discussion on this topic for today. We would like to give a big shout out to all of our patrons on Patreon. Thank you so much for your regular support. And if you aren't currently a patron and you enjoy what we do, please consider donating, as doing so enables us to continue making content like this. If you have comments or questions you'd like to send our way, or if you're just interested in hearing about what we're working on for the future, there are many ways you can stay in contact. We have our Patreon, as mentioned previously, but you can also reach us through Facebook, Twitter, and email. And patrons at or above the $5 per month level get access to our Slack channel, where you can chat live with us any day, anytime. Most of us will probably be up late playing Nuzlocke runs.
I can't
Especially
believe I
in
let
September.
you do this.
Or November, rather.
You have no idea what you're getting yourself into.
You forced me to do this.
Yes.
This
against your
wasn't
will.
yeah, basically.
Yeah. If you're looking to watch any of our previous videos, including tournament recordings, you can find them on our YouTube channel linked in the sidebar, and please make sure to subscribe so we can have a channel URL that's a little easier to remember.
Google broke our link shortener. Look at this mess.
What, you mean you can't remember UCS underscore
No!
CUE? I can't either.
I remember the UCS underscore. The rest of it's just like, I'm going to run my hand over my keyboard.
Before we close down the stream, can we post the deck list in chat for everyone who was watching?
That will take a little bit of doing.
I think I can get it then. All right.
Oops. Yeah, if nothing else, we'll have them on the VOD and in the comment or the description.
There's Silverstream Purple. And grabbing some pirate booty right now.
All right, that one went.
Oh my!
Know what you're talking about. Yeah. Click, click, click. With all that said, thank you to each and every one of our viewers, both here now and watching this recording later. We are, as always, Commentary is Magic. I am, as always, Grandpaws.
Big Cheese is literally probably on a plane or something, but I'm Arcat.
I'm Ivory Starlight.
What? Me? I'm Bugle, and I probably won't be here next week.
That's all right.
2 weeks. No, in 2 weeks. Because BronyCon.
Well, none of us are going to be here in 2 weeks because we're all going to be at BronyCon.
Wait, how have we not gushed about that all stream?
Because we talked about it last week.
Oh, well, fine then.
What, we're sitting here losing it because we're going to go to the gigantic con and everyone's going to be there?
Come see us at BronyCon. bring your cards. Play this deck. Everyone play this deck. We'll get the tournament done in like 10 minutes.
Won't it have a perfect TIA score of 0?
Yes.
Technically.
Flawless.
So this was his plan from the start. Don't run it.
It'll have like 30 games played.
It'll be great.
Perfect score of 0. Sounds amazing.
He's still mad about Tempest Blue, so that was his plan all along, was rig the TIA score for this one.
I like this plan. I actually want this to happen now.
Well, you can be the difference that you want to make in the world in the TIA scores. Anyway, we'll see you all at BronyCon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, folks.